react to the game yesterday. And first and foremost, we've got Henry Winter, who says this was the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium South Stand seconds after the final whistle. Spurs so poor, almost disinterested. 20 league defeats this season. Bilbao or bust.
What do you think of, based on that picture there? I mean, I guess that's after the final whistle, but and not quite half
it says
time.
Seconds after.
So I don't know how early it was that empty. But what do you think? Brian, I was talking to Brian yesterday, and because the change for Tottenham did this walkout halftime. Well, were planning the walkout, I should say, and then received a lot of backlash, mostly online, obviously, which it usually is, against it, saying, it's not the right time, all this kind of stuff. We need to support the team. But then the fans that did go to the game did leave early anyway. I guess halftime's different to leaving early, but is there a bit of hypocrisy there or not really?
No, I mean, look, I don't have too much of a problem with it. When you're sitting there watching that dross, you do get frustrated. And when the weather is like it is outside, you just want to go and enjoy your day at the end of the day. And there was not like the game was pretty much a training routine.
Open training.
That's pretty much what it felt like yesterday. It was just a bit of open training. So
literally felt like that.
So look, I don't have too much of a problem with it. When you're trying to compare it to a protest, it's completely different. Mm-hmm. Like a protest is signaling your dissatisfaction against the board. Like leaving early at a game. I mean, you see, even at the best of times, people leave early at games. You know what I mean?
I mean, not to that extent.
Not to that extent, but you still see it.
Yeah,
you still see it.
But do you think if any fans were giving Change of Spurs kind of aggro for that kind of attempt, and then they left the game early, is that hypocritical or not really? Or is just if any specific fan did that?
But I think there is a difference in leaving early, like a few minutes early before the final whistle, as opposed to having a walkout at half time. I think they're completely different things.
Yeah, it's fair. I agree. It's fair enough.
But anyway, next up, Jason says, come June, I won't be judging Ange based on the wins against Elfsborg, Bodo, Alkmaar, Karabag or Hoffenheim, or a one-off game versus Man United. I'll be judging over a 38-game Premier League season where he has steered us to comfortably our worst campaign in decades. And look, that's pretty much where I stand with it. However, now until that moment in time, we have to all be together, we have to support the cause, and we have to really back it and get behind it, because we've got a cup final to deal with, and we all need to be as one, as a family, as Tottenham Hotspur, and all of our differences have to be put to one side until the very moment where it has to come out again.
Agreed. I do find it a bit funny he leaves out Frankfurt and that, just to make it seem that little bit worse. But look, that's fair enough. That's I can't sit here and say you're wrong for doing that. I think a lot of fans will probably feel the same way. As much as the Europa League win would be amazing for this football club, they still feel like he'll have to go based on the Premier League season. That's fine, but I just feel like as much as the Premier League season has been bad, if we were to pick up that trophy, there is still a pathway of where there could be a future. But look, we'll talk about that after the final.
Exactly. Spurs Connect saying, regardless if it was a nothing game and the team was heavily rotated, that performance was an absolute disgrace. Even if Ange wins the Europa, the last 18 months have proven it's not been good enough, and we need a change of manager this summer. We're 17th. It's unacceptable. And yeah, I mean, look, all those things are true. I can't get away from it.
17th is unacceptable, correct. But Europa League is very much acceptable.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. Like at the beginning of the season, we had the conversation of would you accept 17th and Europa League win, and you said no.
Yeah, it's true. I wouldn't have at the beginning of the season. Definitely would now. Definitely would now. Look, we've been through all the reasons why I think the season's gone the way it's gone. And I still think a lot of them are valid. Obviously, we've got the players back, and I understand people say, well, we've got the players back and it hasn't improved. But the reality is that the point we've got the players back, we're then in a position where we pretty much have to prioritise this Europa League. So it's meant that we've just abandoned this Premier League campaign because of what's happened. But if that a lot of people won't accept that, that's fine. And that's understandable as well. And regardless of the situation we've been, people still think, people say it's unacceptable in that position, and that's fine to believe that. And that's not, I understand that point of view as well. That's, that's fine to a fine opinion to have. It's not like I massively disagree with it. I just also think this season has been a very turbulent, crazy season, and I think we went through that whole injury crisis, and we were losing game after game after game, and everyone's saying we're in a relegation battle with this, with that, and Andrews kept saying it's because of these injuries that we're this bad, essentially. And if we were to get all those injury players back and then win the Europa League off the back of that, I think for me that would be a bit of vindication for what he was saying. But for a lot of people, they would see, we got the players back and the form is still really bad in the league. But, again, the context is we've pretty much abandoned this league because we put all our eggs in this Europa League basket, which is the right thing to do in the situation that we're in, because the form was so bad during that injury crisis. It's pretty much meant we've got no chance to do anything in the league. But that is what it is. Let's just hope we win that Europa League final.
Yeah, I just feel like we finish 17th, we win the Europa League. The way it's going to play out is that he keeps his job, and then at the first sign of trouble, if we start the season poorly, then that's it, he'll be gone.
Yeah, I just look, in terms of, I understand that as well, but I don't know, like right now, I guess it depends who we're replacing him with. Like, would you rather put in an Iraola, a Glasner, a Frank, a Silva next season to head a new project? Or would you rather, if he wins this Europa League, say, you know what, he's got another year left on his contract?
Yeah.
Or two? He's got one more year.
One more.
Just let him see out the year. If it goes flat, then you put in an interim and wait for Poch. A Poch after that World Cup, or maybe you can turn it around, kind of thing. Or do you just go with Glasner and one of these, and are these guys you trust to give him another 2-3 year deal?
I would trust Glasner for sure. I think Glasner's proved. He's a proven track record. You know what I mean? At good levels as well. Done very well at Frankfurt, won the Europa League there. He's gone to Crystal Palace, and he's done brilliantly at Crystal Palace. Premier League experience, proven manager as well now.
I like Glasner.
Glasner would be my number one pick. And I also feel like with Glasner, with the football that he plays, with the formation that he plays, I do think it's a formation that suits our squad massively with the players that we've got. So if I had the choice...
Leipzig?
Huh?
What if he joins Leipzig?
Well, then he's not on the table anymore, is he?
I'm saying, then who?
I don't know, but he's not joining Leipzig at this moment in time. There's talk of it, but...
All right, fine. Glasner's a pick I can get on board with, but maybe Frank as well, but I don't know. I think if we win that Europa League, especially with the good feeling amongst the squad and the closest it'll bring them as well, after all they've been through this season to get that trophy win, it might be worth just...
He won't lose his job if we win the Europa League. He'll keep in the job. Yeah.
You don't think so?
If he wins the Europa League?
All the talk is amongst the journalists saying it doesn't matter what happens.
No, I disagree. I think if he wins the Europa League, they're not going to sack him. As much as, I would say he probably should go still.
I'm saying that's the talk around Matt Law and all these guys.
I don't think that it will play out like that. I think unless he walks, which, is a possibility.
I was thinking about it as well. Sacked. Why would he give up a year's salary? He wouldn't. What's the point?
I don't think he'll get sacked. I think that they'll keep him until the next season, and I think he'll probably get sacked pretty early into the season.
But that'd kind of be, if everyone was clamoring for Poch anyway, and it's going to take him a year, you might as well give Ange another year to see if what he can do, and then go for Poch. Maybe get some, if it really is going wrong again, which it might do, then have some early discussions with Poch and get him in for when he went after the World Cup kind of thing. That's maybe the best route, rather than giving another manager a 2-3 year deal.
Look, just go to Poch now. Look, if you love us so much, forget about this USA job. Forget about this World Cup. You ain't winning it anyway. You know what I mean? Just come home. Just come home. If you love us so much, you'll come to us at the biggest time of need, and that will be this summer. But the reality is, if we win the Europa League, I think Ange will still be our manager come first day next season. That's what I think.
And he will have earned it.
Yeah, to a certain extent, for sure. He would have earned it, but he also would have earned the sack if he gets it. Next up, Spurs Insider says, imagine leaving expectations that Marinakis would have put on him at the beginning of the season. Like, if you're going to do that, do it like behind closed doors, man.
Agreed. What do you think, though, would have been...
Marinakis have previous of this. Like, this is Son and Eze having a nice little embrace after the game. Son is saying, get your ass over here, man.
There was a lot of tapping up of Eze yesterday, just like there was last year. I remember when he came to the Tottenham Stadium. After 3 goals in his last 2 games in the Tottenham Stadium for Eze.
Did you see as he was coming out the tunnel, he was like high-fiving all the Spurs fans?
Yeah, there's a video we'll show you as well where where a fan asked him to come to Tottenham. But yeah, there's a lot of tapping up there for Eze. But I feel like his form is coming at the right time as well in terms of him looking to move. Like just before the season's coming to an end, he's like coming to his blistering form, getting a lot of hype around him again.
Because I think it was similar last summer though. Like the back end of last season as well. Like Eze was like everyone's like he's certain to move and all
but
this
they sold
noise
Olise.
around. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
so they feel like they couldn't lose both. But I wonder what Glasner would feel if they do lose Eze as well.
Bringing Glasner and we're bringing Eze with him. That's what I want. Nice. And Munoz. And everyone else. I mean, there's so many. And Gehi, you know what I mean? There's so many of those. They've got such a good team there.
Adam
Walton as well. They've got such a good team. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh, yeah, he is. And we spoke about him many years ago.
He's like Saliba light. That's what he is.
All right, next up, we've got last word on Spurs saying Ange Postecoglou is officially the worst manager in Tottenham history in the Premier League era. Spurs have achieved the most losses ever in a Premier League campaign in the club's history, which is 20.
But it is mad. If he does win this Europa League, right, he is both simultaneously the worst manager in the Premier League and the most successful manager in the Premier League. How do you get your head around that? What is he? Is he our best, most successful, or is he our worst? Like, how can you be both simultaneously?
Wasn't One Day Ramos the same though? Because One Day Ramos won the League Cup and then he got 2 points from 8 games.
Yeah, I don't know if but he over a whole season, I guess it wasn't. But I don't know how you is he so? How can you both simultaneously be our worst manager and our most successful manager?
But like, the Ange Postecoglou season of what you just said, right, is basically the One Day Ramos thing just over the course of a season, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's just the One Day Ramos situation on steroids. This is just Tottenham, though.
It's just crazy how that's the possibility. And it's like you've got to wrap your head around that. But I guess as well, I mean, Ramos never finished 5th, which Ange did. So obviously Ange has signed his locker. People just forget that, but he did.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's just baffling how that's a possibility. Like, as a Tottenham fan, how do you wrap your head around how to feel about that? It's crazy. It's really crazy.
I know, it's mad.
Put in the chat, if he wins the Europa League, is he our most successful manager or is he our worst manager?
He's both. Is he? He's both.
How can you be both?
You can be both.
How?
You can be. You've got to finish 17th in the league. No manager has finished 17th.
You're worst manager and our most successful. You're both. You can't be both. Surely you got to.
You can be both. He's proving it.
How can you be both?
He's proving it. You can be.
So our most successful manager is also our worst manager.
Yeah.
There can't be. It just can't.
Yeah, it can.
No,
it's happening.
Oh, it's crazy.
Ayudi says the same caption. Tottenham and Man United put out this exact same caption at the game yesterday, so we trail at the break.
Copy and paste. They're just copying each other at the moment, I think. What did they tweet? Yeah, put that, yeah.
It's mad, they've got them on similarities of both of our seasons, right? Like,
yeah. Well, the only difference is they changed their manager mid-season, I guess. Yeah. I think we've both got them saved on draft. Apparently, that's a picture of Odebear from 2 weeks ago. No,
Football Tweet says, what it feels like to play against Spurs.
Honestly, it did feel like they were taking the piss.
Yeah, they were taking the piss. It probably was Palace's easiest game of the season yesterday.
It was very easy. Very easy.
Mari says, Son always providing the best memes on the bench. Sonny just yawning on the bench. This is probably what you were like on the watch along yesterday.
At one point in the second half, we were just talking about Sunday roasts. I was getting hungry. I hadn't eaten. I was Ash, let's get a Sunday. We're looking up where the nearest Sunday roasts were. That's what we were doing.
Did you get one in the end?
I did, yeah. I did get one after the stream. Not with Ash. I thought he had to go. I got one.
Lyle Thomas says, if the Europa League final is a battle of mindset and attitude, Ange Postecoglou is winning at the moment, in my opinion. Stark contrast between Ruben Amorim's, it doesn't matter if we win, to Postecoglou's, it's massive. Amorim has to do more to lift the Man United mood than Ange has to Tottenham at this point. Do you agree with that?
I mean, in theory, yes, but clearly Man United have been finding something else in the Europa League, haven't they? So whether in a weird way, is that mentality from Amorim, in theory, it will mean that they don't care about it as much. But on the flip side, does it mean they may be a bit looser in that final if there's that if they go into it knowing that it doesn't really matter if we win this, basically, are they going to go into it with a bit more out of freedom, a bit more of the handbrake lifted? But
what I would say about the two sides looking at the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, I think the way Spurs have managed the quarterfinals and the semi-finals has been incredible, right? We've outplayed both opponents. We've deserved to win. For the majority of both legs and both games, we were the better side. Apart from, maybe elements of the first leg against Frankfurt. Apart from that, I thought we were dominant, defensively sound, everything that you want to see from Spurs in a knockout tournament. Where you look at that for Manchester United, it's not really been that. I think Man United have had big elements of luck to get to where they are. Red cards, I think in all the games that they've had.
Leon, I don't know how they managed that.
I mean, that was just mad. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't happen 99 times out of 100. They got very lucky in that sense. Look, credit to them for doing it, but it's still like a big element of luck. And against Bilbao, they were getting battered up until the red card. You know what I mean? So I think when you're looking at how the two teams have got there, Man United have the harder route. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like Spurs have done it in a kind of not easy way, but very controlled manner, and we deserve to be there. Man United have kind of just relied a bit on luck to be there. In my opinion,
it's like he's played like we've said, like he's saying, it's like we've played like it's a massive tournament.
Yeah,
like we're playing. We've treated it like we're playing in a Champions League knockout. Well, they've kind of treated it like if we get through, we get through. Kind of thing.
I kind of feel like in the final, if we can have that element of control like we've had in Frankfurt and against Bodo, then we should do the business.
Yeah, and I think look recently when Romero and Van der Ven have been in our backline, we haven't conceded that many goals. I think Forest is the only one maybe we've conceded more than a goal. That was just after a Europa League game, but I think by and large, since they've come back from injury, our defence has looked a lot better when them two are in there.
Next up is Eberechi Eze. This is the clip I was talking about. He said, Manta says, Eze fully COYS.
Come on. Eze, just come where you're loved. I guess you're loved there, but come where you'll be loved more. You get more money. Come on.
Get to play in that stadium.
Get to play in the stadium every week.
Hopefully Champions League football next season.
Raise the profile. You'll raise your profile, Eberechi. Come to Tottenham.
Yeah. It does,
really
doesn't
does,
it?
yeah, literally. looks like I'm presenting him. Honestly.
If we do sign him in the summer, they've got enough content. They don't even need to do a presentation. They've got so much content just to use. Football Confidential says, Spurs fan, can you come to Tottenham? Eberechi just with a massive grin. He knows he wants to. It's what everyone wants.
He wants to come. Come on, he's thinking about it in his head. He's a chess champion, Jose.
Yeah, I heard about this not long ago.
He won a chess competition online.
I heard about this,
which is unbelievable. He's a clever guy.
Also, he won't come to Tottenham.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Richard Keys says, Spurs 17th, Man U 16th. They've lost 37 games between them. Only the 3 relegated clubs are worse. One or the other is supposed to be playing Champions League football next season. UEFA have to revisit that decision now. It shouldn't be allowed.
Oh, come off it.
Richard Keys, man.
Honestly, this clamouring to get this rule revoked, like, during a season. You can't at the start of the season say this is the price for winning the competition, then revoke it because you don't like who won it. It's ridiculous.
He's shameless, this Richard Keys.
Honestly, revisit the decision now.
Do you know what, though? It would be classic Spurs if we go and win the Europa League and they actually do revisit the rule.
But they wouldn't revisit it if Frankfurt won it.
No.
Or Lazio or anyone else. And also I was thinking about this, like, in terms of people saying, oh, the competition is so low. Like, the only reason people are saying that is because Bodo got to the semi. If Lazio won, no one is having this conversation.
True.
I think it's literally the only reason. If the semi was Lazio, Tottenham, Bilbao, United, no one is having this conversation. It's because Bodo managed to get through.
Yeah, it's true. But they are still having the conversation of how 16th and 17th, one of them can get
that's
the Champions
true.
League next season.
But that's true. But no one is saying, oh, they're only winning it because it's a terrible competition when we would have been playing 4th in Serie A and 4th in La Liga.
Yeah.
Like on that, and at the end of the day, there's third in the Bundesliga. There's Lazio have been in the top four for a lot. I think they're level on points with fourth right now in Serie A, and there's fourth in Bilbao. So you've got teams currently in the top four of the major divisions. Like, what do you expect the Europa League to be?
Yeah. No, this narrative spin is an absolute disgrace, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, only because it's Tottenham getting there that this conversation is going on. It's only because it's Tottenham.
Literally.
Happens every time Spurs are attempting to do well or on the cusp of doing something. You hear all these kind of salty people come out. That's all it is.
At the end of the day, I think us and, well, especially us, but Man United to a certain extent, we have chucked all our eggs in this basket because of how bad the league campaign is. So we've pretty much let the league just go by the wayside.
We've been forced to chuck it into this basket.
We've been forced, but I'm saying if we weren't, let's say we got knocked out Europa League in January, I don't think we're sitting here in 17th. I think we're probably a bit higher up. I think we're probably mid-table or something. I don't think we'd probably be here, but we've chucked the league campaign. We've rested all our players in the league to get through in this Europa League.
Yeah,
that's
but
the reality.
There also were games like when our players were coming back where we played strong teams and we still weren't winning.
No, I agree with that. Though I think Chelsea away. I mean, very few. I think the last time Romero and Van Ven played 90 minutes in a Premier League game was October.
Yeah, Van de Ven would have been forced to play a lot earlier. Like, we were literally just playing him in the Europa League apart from one or two games.
But even then, they weren't 90 minutes.
It's true. Tottenham, we are Tottenham TV. Grandpa on the big screen yesterday, gone but never forgotten.
Yeah, what a lovely,
unbelievable moment to be there and just to see him on the big screen. It really was.
Yeah, it's very special for us and all the family. It's a really great tribute. Appreciate all the lovely messages as well in reply to it. My family are seeing all of them, so I do really appreciate that. And that's very, very special. So I'm sad I wasn't there, but I've loved seeing the video and I've seen the picture and everything. It's really, really special.
Sasha Delic says another game for the tally. So this is stats with Romero, Van de Ven, with Van de Ven or Romero plus another, plus just without them. So with Romero and Van de Ven, we'll be sitting fourth in the league with the points per game. With Romero and Van de Ven and one other, we'll be sitting in 10th, and without them, we'll be sitting in 17th. It's mad how heavily reliant we are on just two people. Well, one of them should be leaving this season.
Yeah. I mean, it's not great, but as well, a lot of the season has been grey, hasn't it? Grey, and you got Davis sitting at centre-back a lot of the time. Dancer, also Dragoshin was there a lot of it, and then Dancer got signed in January. It's been a mishmash without those two. That's reality. We haven't been able to get any sort of good partnership going.
Yeah.
And that's why probably the results have been so bad. Well, no, not only reason, but part of the reason. Yeah. But clearly it's a correlation.
Now we're going to look at Harry Kane picking up his first medal of his career yesterday, and he was celebrating like it was his first trophy, wasn't he? He was absolutely buzzing. This was his first interview after, and someone comes to the side, but I'm not sure who it was, but just pours beer on him.
It's absolutely mad, isn't it? And I am very happy for him, but obviously I also I hate the whole narrative like this makes him a better player because he's won the Bundesliga. You know what I mean? Like he's as good as he is today as he was yesterday. Just the trophy doesn't really winning the Bundesliga doesn't make Harry Kane a better player. And it's stupid that he needed to win it for people to see that.
Yeah, but it's also that narrative on let's say the Ballon d'Or. You don't get even if you've been the best player in Europe, you don't get a mention in the Ballon d'Or unless you've won the big trophies.
I know, which I think is ridiculous. Yeah, I didn't think it wasn't always like that, but I think the reason it got like that is because Messi and Ronaldo were so clearly the best players. They basically just had to decide who won it based on which one of those two won the trophy. And now it's become this thing, you had to win the trophy essentially. Like
when Italy won the Euros, right? You had Jorginho finishing third.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. No, near the
How
best
is Jorginho ever finishing in the top 3 for Ballon d'Or?
Just because he's won some trophies, yeah. It's nuts. I agree.
Bayern and Football says Harry Kane on Eric Dyer saying I will miss him. So obviously Eric Dyer signed for Monaco and he'll be leaving Bayern. He got some send off, by the way. They love him over there.
In fair. Well, he's done a good job for them.
Yeah,
it's fair play to him.
Spurs Insider. This is Madders on Instagram, just showing a picture of Harry Kane lifting that trophy.
What a feeling!
And this was
he didn't lift it, did he? Was he the one who lifted it? Oh, Muller then him. Okay. I was about to say that'd be interesting. They gave it to him first, but no, they didn't.
Delhi also congratulating him yesterday on social media.
Our good friend Delhi.
Our good friend Delhi, yeah. This was an interesting one. Former South Korea manager and Spurs player Jurgen Klinsmann was talking about the altercation that Lee Kang-in and Son Heung-min had at the Asia Cup. And he says, at the Asia Cup a year ago, right before the semi-final match against Jordan, two players went at each other and had a real fist fight. It was Kang-in Lee and Son, because Kang-in did a bad joke and he realized it a bit too late, and Son started beating him up.
Well, Son got fractured his finger, or dislocated his finger.
That's how bad he beat him up.
Madness. I do wonder what the joke was. I would love to know. But obviously that was...
Son has that in him to like beat up a fellow teammate.
Depends what he said, yeah, I guess. But yeah, I think that goes to show as well that, you know, everyone looks at Son as just a nice guy, always smiling. But there's that competitive streak in him, and that other, you know, he's got it in him. You see it.
Got it in him to beat up his teammate.
He does.
This is mad.
He clearly does. Kang-in shouldn't have disrespected who he did.
Yeah.
I don't know who he did or what happened, but clearly disrespected someone.
Next one is from Michael Hamilton. Says Eric Dyer has been honoured by Bayern Munich in his final home game for the German champions. The entire stadium gave the former England man a standing ovation to say thank you. Very different to how he was treated at Tottenham in his last 12 months.
Yeah, I was thinking about this, like the way we like treat players and the goodbyes our players get and all this kind of stuff. It's just like comparing it to other. I know he's won a trophies, maybe it's different, but like, you know, Kane, when he left, this is like our best ever goal scorer. He's a record goal scorer for Tottenham. He's been at Tottenham for over a decade. He's an absolute club legend, right? And we get a Snapchat story to say goodbye.
Yeah.
That's the goodbye. And this is a goodbye they have for a player who's there for 18 months.
Yeah.
Eric Dyer, who's a centre-back, who wasn't even starting every game. That's the goodbye.
It was an absolute disgrace that Harry Kane didn't get a proper
It's not just Kane, it's all the players that leave who were good. So like how Trippier goes through the back door, and he was a great player for us. Like, a lot of these players who are very good players for us, you know, they all go through out the back door.
But also the fans have got a part to play in that, because Eric Dyer got chased out of the club by the fans. Trippier got chased out of the club by the fans. You know, what kind of reception from the stadium would they have got if they would have had a send-off like this?
I think it would have been a positive one. If they're leaving after, I know people get on their back for playing badly and all that stuff, but once they're actually going, and you know, it's now like a fond farewell, I think there would have been a good reception. I don't think anyone's booing or anything.
Yeah,
I think they're saying
like
goodbye.
to hope so. You'd like to hope so, because the reality is, whatever you want to say about Eric Dyer and about his poor performances and about how he was chased out, he was a great servant to the football club.
100%. He said he wants his ashes spread over White Hart Lane. Or Tottenham said as how much he cares about it. I don't know if he feels the same now, but he did then. And a lot of these guys, you know, were there for a long time and did a good job, really good job at times for us. And they all same with Davis. I'm sure when he leaves, is he going to get a nice goodbye like this, or is he going to go out through the back door? It'll probably be like that. I hope Son gets a goodbye like this. But no, who's ever gotten a goodbye like that at Tottenham?
No one.
Lloris? He had that halftime speech.
Exactly. That was after he left, like quite a while after he left. And when he did come back, there wasn't like a massive ovation for him or anything.
It was just he got to talk at halftime in a game. Like, we should be doing a lot more for our players.
I agree. Totally agree. Harry Kane, this was the tweet he put out saying, what a winning feeling, just him lifting the trophy. This was Harry Kane and Eric Dyer on the pitch after the game. Kane was just like to Dyer, how does it feel, Eric? How does it feel? We've never been in this situation before.
I think apparently Dyer said better than I thought. Yeah. Oh man, look at that. So much beer. Unbelievable. You can see how happy he is, and you can see like this relief is like lifted off his shoulder. Because you know what? It's so weird to see him like that, because I'm just so used to seeing like those depressed Kane pictures of like him walking past the Champions League trophy, and like him at like another final which he hasn't won, and so it's so like weird to see that massive like smile of kind of achievement which he never really got to do at Tottenham.
Yeah. As much as I'm really happy with him, it is just like kind of like sad to see that he's winning his first trophy of his career, and we could be winning a trophy in the exact same season. You know what?
So there's something very small, but at least they're all wearing white in these pictures. Thank God they're not wearing red that we have to scroll through.
I guess, but they've got a red logo. And then the last but not least, some more pictures of Harry Kane. This one with Manuel Neuer and Eric Dyer as well. So yeah, look, big up to Harry Kane, big up to Eric Dyer. Congratulations on winning the Bundesliga. Now, Harry, it's just time to come home.
Exactly. You won something. You won your trophy. Now, come back to Tottenham and be miserable like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Come on, you're meant to be miserable, Harry. You're not meant for all this achievement.